The City of Madison is taking new steps to tackle its housing shortage.
Leaders are approving millions for affordable units and changing zoning rules to create more homes.
WMTV's Nicole Herzog joins us in studio. Nicole, officials say the city is expecting to grow by another 100,000 people in the next 25 years.
To meet that need, the city estimates it needs to build more than 15,000 new homes by 2030. While advocates say these new changes won't solve the shortage alone, they're a step in the right direction.
As a mother, housing has always been an important issue for me.
Sharon Johnson knows what it's like to try to navigate Madison's tough housing market. That's why she became an advocate for bringing affordable options to families.
And this is an opportunity to help those who can't be at the table.
So when the City of Madison Common Council approved new changes this week to tackle the housing shortage,
with 20 ayes, item 16 will pass.
She saw it as a win. The Common Council signed off on nearly $14 million from the Affordable Housing Fund to create more than 400 new rental homes across the city. More than 200 of them are designated as affordable housing, and over 80 set aside for people who are homeless.
The City of Madison is one of the fastest growing populations in the state, and so we understand that there is a need to continue to increase our housing density and also our housing units.
The Common Council also approved 2 new housing ordinances this week that they say will make it easier to build more homes across the city, including central areas close to bus routes. The changes also make way for a new type of housing called cottage courts, which are smaller homes clustered around a shared courtyard. Car washes, drive-throughs, and big parking lots will be limited, unless they're part of larger housing developments.
Every one of these zoning changes, tweaks little parts of our laws that really govern what can be built where and how. But at a big picture, it's really about making sure that our community can meet the need for housing as we grow.
To keep housing affordable long-term, officials say they have agreements with all of the properties they provide with funding, making sure rent stays at a reasonable rate. For now, live in studio, Nicole Herzog, WMTV 15 News.
And officials say people expect to see these projects completed, can expect to see them completed within the next couple of years.